Innovators, what are some unconventional ways to figure out your internal calling? In our last video, we talked about two types of mind, a triggered mind and an inspired mind. An inspired mind works with some sort of a purpose and internal calling. In this video, I want to talk about three different unconventional ways where you can discover your internal calling. I am David Jitendranath, and this is Get in the Mode, where we talk about self-mastery and innovation. Innovators, when your innovation activities are aligned with a larger purpose and your internal calling, your actions are going to be more congruent, and hence it leads to better results. The philosopher and psychologist Jacques Lacan asks the question, have you acted in conformity with your desires? Now, this does not mean that you have to get on the hedonistic treadmill and indulge in every pleasure possible. That's not what this means. It actually means sacrificing certain pleasurable experiences to accomplish a larger goal, one that fits with your purpose. And when you do that, your actions are going to be much more congruent with who you are, and this will lead to better breakthroughs and higher quality innovation. Here are three unconventional ways you can discover your internal calling. The first is to know your enemies. When you come across people that you do not like for whatever reason, or perhaps after a certain experience, you kind of have a bad taste and you don't sort of like them anymore, you sort of almost end up on the side of hating them, so to speak. Now, when you experience that, write those names, perhaps, and then write the traits that those people exhibited. Write the traits that provoked you, or perhaps that made you sort of like dislike them or hate them even. When you write these traits of these people, look at yourself and reflect if you demonstrate some of those traits in your own personal life. We sometimes tend to dislike in others what we see in ourselves. There's also a book by Patrick Bet-David called Choose Your Enemies Wisely that just came out, covers some of these aspects in a more detailed fashion. The second unconventional way to discover your calling is to go back and look at the books you have consumed, or the podcasts you have consumed, or perhaps the YouTube videos you have watched. What do they primarily talk about? What are you most curious about? What are you most interested in learning? Perhaps go to those books and look at the places where you've highlighted certain points, certain quotes. Perhaps you may have made some side notes. What did you write? That's a great way to understand what you are driven, what your internal motivators are. This can certainly lead to finding your internal purpose. The third one is to avoid the mistake of solipsism. Let me explain. In this world where we are surrounded by the technological bubble, social media, perhaps other types of media such as content, podcasts, and audibles, what ends up happening is we are very self-absorbed. We fail to listen to what people tell us that we are good at. Now, we want to be discerning of flattery. At the same time, when somebody says, you are good at this, ask yourself that question, if that is true, and see if you find a commonality among others who say the same thing. That's another way to find out what you are really good at and what your internal calling could be. Now, we talked about solipsism. Solipsism is when you think that you are really great at something and others may perceive something that is totally different from what you understand that you are really good at. These are the three different ways, sort of unconventional ways of finding what you're good at and perhaps leading towards your internal calling. What are some other ways that you have found that has worked? Comment below. Give this video a thumbs up if you found value from this video, and consider subscribing to the Get in the Mode channel. Thanks for watching.